My name is Jim Merrill, and I'm a Salem poet. I've been a teacher here in the Salem area. In fact, I finished teaching at the Indian School, Chemawa Indian School, a couple of years ago, and got further into writing with a circle of friends. We meet every week, generally, and we meet on a Tuesday, midday, and we put together a book, a chapbook it's called the Tuesday Rhythm Section chapbook. This came out a week ago. Each of us has some poems in here, and I'm going to read first from this one. There's a bio of me in here. I'll read that first. It says, James Merrill was a fledgling poet in the 60s when he noticed somebody else was using his name and got published in the New Yorker magazines that lay on his parents' coffee table in Lafayette, California. So he changed his boyhood name from Jamie to Jim and never looked back, except to watch out for that guy named Dylan, who seemed a much better soothsayer than the guy named Merrill in the New Yorker. Okay, first poem is called Blue Notes from a White Skull. And there's a little epigram here. It says, shh, I think I heard her call my name. That's from a song by Sunhouse called Death Letter. Okay, Blue Notes from a White Skull. That white skull is the last remains of the doe that fell at the base of the pine where I lay my head, a boy playing in the woods, 8 years old. I was tired from running, jumping, leaping, rock to rock, skipping over to the bank of the creek, sometimes slipping, dipping a knee or a shoe in the stream, after playing in the wild behind the house in the foothills, where I once saw a cougar, so rare she chose to let me see her, but never again. I lay down briefly, just to catch my breath, and your whisper, oh dear, drew me in, drew me out to the space between stars, out where the cold expanse is soundless, except for tears in the fabric of space-time heard on Earth. Sent your murmur, released in death, uttered years earlier, and which ended your travels here in my ear at the base of this tree as I swooned asleep. We have a white skull that we sometimes have at our writing table, our circle of writers. It's a totem of sorts, and I wrote from that. The next one, I had to open my eyes to read in school. I had to open my eyes to read in school, but I closed them to see the world in my head. Here's what I saw instead. Walking on lumps of moss under tower-tall trees, look to one side, see forest ferns and wild pink rhododendrons. Find a suitable rock, moss-covered for sitting, and looking up, I see a grandfather redwood. Off in the distance, first thing heard is the sound of breaking glass, skidding on gravel, metal crashing into metal, terrible, inanimate screeching. Thus becomes the background to all manner of chaos, tumultuous happenings around our world. Some little human joys, many skirmishes, a few glorious celebrations, joyous singing among the olives in Greece, kimono wedding photos along the stream in Nara, cocoa picking party on the finca in Guatemala. Those are the images I saw in my head. The next poem is also hearkened back to my childhood and the first impressions I had. Growing up in the country in Lafayette, California, east of Berkeley and Oakland. So this starts out in the present, in the body I have now. But it gets compared to the old days when I was young. This is how my hangdog day started out in bed. Instead of waking up in the body I earned as a 16-year-old hormone, I awoke horizontally, not erect, feeling every inch of the furniture I lifted yesterday. Or was it gymnastics in bed, a long bike ride the day before, whatever? Mostly you get advice for living that is opposite to the feeling of being alive, responsible, safe, respectable. Sometimes I think back to those early creases in the cortex. Kids like me, I saw my birth as that rare, inestimable, so haphazard, incomprehensible. How was it me that got born into that family located on that street? I mean, the sheer improbability, intense vulnerability. The bliss of childhood, is it? It was for me. I was often alone but never lonely. Believed I'd always have parents, my parachute always open. Then my dad left. He often seemed to be grieving after that. It was the end of something, underwater with a snorkel missing. This is a prose poem or prose piece of a time when I lived in Southern California in Laguna Beach, which is the perfect looking beach town on the south coast. It's just gorgeous. It's a gem. And I was there in the 80s. So this is called Dateline Laguna Beach, 1984. By the way, Laguna was known as a artist colony with a lot of free lifestyle people ending up there. So this is my picture of it in the 80s. Mario was the bona fide item, a straight arrow friend who really liked men. He used to hitchhike up and down the Pacific Coast Highway just to get picked up. Lay it out, wide open, ripe for the picking. I first met Mario with Frank, the man whom I loved, but not in that way, oh God forbid. Perhaps I was afraid. Or perhaps it was just like all relationship dynamics, established early, sibling rivalry, power politics, seeking acceptance or demanding subservience. Alpha beta stuff, on to omega. Mario was never afraid of what he was. Mario offered me a room next to his in the town with the fruit in plain sight, unforbidden. No shame, no remorse at West Street Beach or Ron's Boom Boom Bar. I used to hear him in the next room, sounds of love penetrating my walls, the floor shaking. In the morning when I awoke bleary, groggy, needing coffee, Mario would be gone, a new man. The fog was in my head, not his. My God, I thought, is this my world? Mario died a few years later. Frank said he wasted away till there was nothing in the bed but sheets and a smock. A wisp of wind came along, his face reduced to a wick. A human breath could have blown him out. Perhaps my breath, perhaps yours. They say his lover was at his side, and he died a few years after that. I don't know. I wasn't there. Here's one called The Way to Heaven. I'm giving advice. Not really. But the way to get to heaven is like this. Raise our sight and look to the sky. Good spirit within us abides there. When we look straight ahead, then all appears lofty, refreshed, hopeful, and uplifted. Now, if we look down to the gutter, into the rut, we see little things dwell there, in cracks and culverts, hidden places. These little things, that is, all lives, appear very real, worthy, just fully present. They remind us, be humble in order to be present. But how to approach the society of men? Shall I look off and away or down and hide from their view? If I look them in the face, I'm afraid or ashamed. But if I face mankind with eyes trained inward, I am not distracted or distressed by judgment, my own or others. And I have the humility, the inner feeling of the littlest being. The last poem in this collection of mine is called Wind at the 19th Hole. This is for S.R. Jones. a golfer friend and part of our writing circle. And he is a caretaker at a golf course in Corvallis sometimes, and the pro shop is called 19th Hole. Wind rustles my hair, blows the molecules around the room, flutters hands of a clock on the wall. Some future duffer's hat tips sideways, like Columbo figuring out the real motive. The wind slips into your eyes, favoring open pores, tousles Jerry's peppery salt hair. The whole room responds appreciatively. Golf towels wave gently their thank yous. In the past, what a concept. Anyway, back then, in my first bedroom, where walls held some truth I believed in, and lies walked in on stocking feet. First learnings last a lifetime, like the sun on the back lawn. When I was young. There's a breeze tugging at the corner of your mind. Out past the creek, beyond dapple leaves, there's clear scene. So those are the most recently published poems I have. I have a book called Blues Fall Down Like Rain, which is partly related, the title is because we're here in Oregon and it rains a lot. I don't get the blues from the rain. I like to listen to the blues. And I wrote some lyrics, some blues type lyrics for this collection, but they're mostly poems and a few stories, shorter stories. And I'm going to take a few from this book. The first one will be a blues lyric, or in other words, not a song, but bluesy content updated to my experiences, called Painkiller Blues. Sometimes after I take my supper, I'm so slow I got to have my coffee or a little no-dose from my head. Then I get so wound up, tight as a spring in bed, I got to have my Tylenol, Advil, or a shot of Johnny Walker Red. I'm just asking for a little peace or I feel I'll lose my head. I got more worries than Daddy ever said. Mama used to scream and cry when I was a little tyke. I'm a big old brute, but sometimes I feel like that little boy when Mama said she needs more bread. Then Daddy gets loud and things crash all around the kitchen, pots and pans, in the living room too. Then they'd go to the big bed and things got all quiet. Woo! If I got worried and no one's up but me, I wander down the hall dragging my fingers along the wall. I see the street lamp on and mist shines all around that light like a circle around the sun. I'm a hungry ghost searching for an umbrella in the rain. I'm an untethered soul starting to float up in the sky. So I go to the kitchen, mix me a G&T, grab a beer, and I start walking. I'm going out in it. I get to walking and humming, strolling and singing. I see the raccoons, a possum or two, and a black cat crosses my path. That's when I head back. And the whole thing starts all over again, looking for some kind of relief in my head because I got it bad, a bad case of Painkiller Blues. Okay, so this book includes work from back in the day for me, going back to my experiences in the 60s. And this poem is about those times. It's a kind of a joking reminiscence of the Get High days, called Where Are All My Revelations? Where are all my realizations earned in past revelations? Where is their product beyond recall? Where are those lofty heights, though drug-induced, we traveled on new roads of near unconsciousness? Where are my lost revelations earned in drunken stupor, paid for with splitting hangovers and hammering headbangers? We were Hannibal and his elephants, my brain and body cells, crossing the snowy Rockies, blazing new paths of mental pleasure for future generations. Has it all come to this, a question of doubt, organic route? But no, alas, the word is the thing. If no offspring will hoist the flag or carry the banner of long dead highs, I'll sing and write beyond those times. We broke through the high clouds. And passion, what of that? The times she made me see, the times I brought her off. We broke through low ozones with obvious evidence, my ashes, the dust on yesterday's sheets. Where are my past achievements in ecstasy and mindlessness? The Christian says in good works. The Buddhist says in shikantaza. The Hindu says in burning karma. The native says in nature harmony. Profit seeker says it's obvious on the balance sheet. The learned pedant says in unknown sources, never overwrought or doubted. But I say all these revelations, once the dust has settled, is simply cosmic play, just milestones to the present pleasantry. So I ended my professional teaching career here in Salem, in Kaiser area. This one's called My Life as a Teacher. You overhear someone saying, "Are you flying or swimming?" Another comments, "Out here the dead are waiting for us to embody our mortality." What can it possibly all mean? This is how you graduate, earth and sky seem to say, with their cloud patterns, with their slant of rain. And the winds that blow such an attitude toward earth, saying, this part of the curriculum is not your design. Remember, you are not the author of this course, more like a long-term sub. You do not have the text or the original syllabus. Your tenure lasts only till Christmas, more or less. That's what you were told. Then you were told, good luck. All will be revealed in the end, but we can't say when that is. You only live once, the kids say. My life as a teacher. Here's another teacher poem. This is from when I taught at the Indian school, Chamau Indian. Teaching at the Indian. Teaching at the Indian school, the spirits of dead whisper in each child's ear at odd hours, startling moments. Watch out, Wasichus are coming. Names like Shivington, Sheridan, Custer murmur in the other ear. The only good Indian. Their ancestors' wailing is heard as through cotton, or a cloud of green smoke in the brain, but that fog cannot blot out the old one's screams. Anglo teacher walks to his room through a gauntlet of stone faces lining the hall. Long, straight jet hair leans over the water fountain. Suddenly hears abandoned aunties back on the res, reminding them, this land was ours, we were happy. Daily, it's enough to turn from the sun, to seek shadows at noon. All is loss, haunted by specters of loss. In dreams I see girls bleeding out every wound, while boys bleed in the heart, still wandering, wounded or broken. We were once warriors. Okay, just a couple more. Proximity everywhere. Do you notice the sun on your back? The sun as a neighbor and intimate? It seeks, reaching down to arrive on the surface, your cheek, forehead, hands. Then it goes under the skin. It's potent. The young mother with newborn in the stroller lights up a cigarette. She doesn't know or cares not. Proximity is everything. The kids, the parents, every boy, every girl, every body. The tattoos, the piercings, the phones, games in the phones, the fashion, leggings very close to the skin, touching, showing shapes on display. Everywhere I go, I see a thing revealed. The closest things reveal the bold, brash, beautiful bodies. A final statement. The title is, I'm Lucky. I'm lucky. I can hear the train song out beyond the pond. I'm lucky that my cat loves me back. And my lucky hair, that I still have some. I don't mind the winter rains in Oregon or in spring, summer or fall. I'm just lucky the sky is full of rain, the world a miracle and tragedy every day. Is there a rationale for all this nostalgia before the end? I'm lucky for my lips, my eyes, fade as they will, for my nose when my nostrils flare. When I'm aware of a human community, then I'm just plain lucky. Thank you.